In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt Podcast,
we're investigating the top 3 most common newbie motorhoming errors and how to avoid making them.
And we've got a new way that you can support this podcast this week. Please help.
Woohoo! And we answer your questions on Mercedes warranties, windscreen covers, and the 2030 EV legislation and weight tickets.
Not waiting in line.
We're not queuing up.
This is about your weight. Heaviness or lightness, yeah?
Got it.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and camper vans. And it's all brought to you with thatleisureshop.com.
Now remember, please do follow on your favourite podcast app and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Sponsored by the lovely people at aerobasecreative.co.uk.
What's that in your hand, Matt?
In my hand?
The other one. Vote for us, please. The British Podcast Awards. They usually give out these awards to people who do half an hour on Bavarian nose flute music and jails in Outer Mongolia. But we're a useful podcast. I'm proud of it.
Hang on, just rewind. Bavarian nose flute music.
That's it. I've got many an album. But this is a useful podcast and we're proud of it, and we thank you very much for listening. Can you help us, please, make an impact in the British Podcast Awards by voting for us? They have a listener award. It'll only take a couple of minutes of your time and we really appreciate it if you could do it. What do you have to do then, Matt?
Easy. Just go to mhmp.info/vote, enter Motorhome Matt into the podcast search box and register your vote.
So we've got a little bit on the Motorhome Matt Podcast website, which takes you there immediately. So no long addresses. It's mhmp.info/vote. We really would appreciate it. We know it takes you time and your time is precious, but let's push the podcast forward together is what I say.
Just trying to get a little bit more into the mainstream. I think as an industry we deserve some positive airing in mainstream media. So hopefully this will be part of that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Thanks to Tracy from @Travels in My Van and Warner Shows for voting and sharing. Share your vote and tag us for a shout out in a future episode as well.
Please do, yeah. Just add it to your story on socials. We would love that. Thank you. And tickets are on sale. The big show coming in October.
Le Grand Show.
The Motorhome and Caravan Show at the NEC is 2024's big event. Runs from the 15th to the 20th of October. And you can buy tickets now, but you can save a few pence with the code MATT. Just enter mhmp.info/NEC show and it will take you straight to their ticket buying page on their website and will have already applied the discount code for you. Easy.
And Matt will be there on the expert panel every day, won't you, Matt?
Yeah, every day, 11:45. There's an expert panel on the main stage.
That's 11:45 in the morning, by the way.
In the morning. Yeah, yeah, I'm on at night when no one's in the hall.
It's all locked up.
Just Dora with the vacuum.
Yeah.
No, 11:45 a.m. I think it's a 45-minute session. We've done it many times in the past. They have been brilliant, really good, because what I love about it, I have no idea what question we're going to get from the floor. They're always well hosted as well with a compare. I don't know who's comparing it this year. They've not told me yet. But
they haven't asked me.
No, for good reason.
It might be some other Z list.
He might bring you Bavarian flute.
Nose flute music. I hope it's Paul Merton, because I love Paul Merton and Sadie's motorhoming with the Mertons on Channel 5. I love that.
They'd have to pay them.
Well, they would have to pay them, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Considerable amount.
Yeah,
because they are considerably richer than Yao.
Well, that's very true, to be fair.
Yeah.
Fair cop. But if you're going to the show, head to mhmp.info/NEC show. Save a bit on your ticket and look forward to seeing you there.
It's not Sadie, it's Suki, by the way.
Sorry, I was going to say, who's Sadie?
Sorry, Suki.
Paul's having an affair. Sorry, Suki.
Sorry, Suki. That's a good name for an album, isn't it? Or an autobiography. Sorry, Suki. It's time for our That Leisure Shop product of the week, and we love the product of the week. It's recently reintroduced by public demand.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, well, I haven't got one with me this week. It's too big.
Is it? That's not what I heard.
On YouTube, we'll show you a picture right now. They are amazing That Leisure Shop branded festival carts. These are if you're listening, these are the wagons you drag along behind you with all your stuff in, heading to the beach.
A drag-along wagon?
A drag-along wagon.
A dragon?
It's another album title. It's your Bavarian music hits title.
How much are they?
They are just $99.99, but get 10% off with the code MotoHomeMatt, so £90. Happy days.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Get that cart when you go into the big show, and everything you buy you can tow around. And I tell you what, if enough of you do it, we could have a kart race around there.
We could do.
What would the organisers do to us then? Hey?
Yeah, I can guess. So they're available in choice of colours. We've got black, which you can, as we record this, they're available to buy now. But hopefully, by the time this is released, we should have orange and blue available as well. So a choice of colours. They are branded that leisure shop. We have spent months designing these with the factory that built them for us. They got really wide tyres, reinforced. They take 150 kilos. So I could drag you around in one, Keith.
There you go. I've lost some weight. Did you know orange wasn't a colour until the Elizabethan times?
Really?
Yeah, really. They used to call it red or shades of red.
What was it before then?
Shades of red, I've just said.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, technically it still is a shade of red.
Yeah, it is technically a shade of red. Right then.
Too much sun. Too much sun.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's all brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. And the main part of the podcast this week, it's all for newbies. The top mistakes that people new to motorhoming, caravanning or camping make. Matt, what are they?
Well, you know what? They're not all newbie mistakes. I have to say, one of them, I wasn't a newbie particularly when I did this, but I'll explain in a minute. So the first one, I've heard a lot. As a company that hires and sells motorhomes, we get a lot of people asking about how do I avoid getting this wrong and so on. It's buying the wrong layout. So the layout,
and the layout is really important, as you've said before, for new people into motorhome. Maybe somebody's listening to this and thinking of buying, haven't got one. The layout is the way the inside is configured.
Absolutely, yeah. How the
they're
beds
not
are
all
laid
the
out.
same, are they?
No, they're all. Blimey, no, they're absolutely not. And it can feel like a minefield, and it can get really confusing. So buying the right layout is so important because, as you say, it's what you're going to live with. So we did it years ago. We went to a show, walked in a motorhome with a rear lounge, and thought, wow, this is amazing. It's loads of space. And there was. But it was nothing more, in reality, we bought it, it was nothing more than a motorhome with a really uncomfortable rear bed because it was made up out of the cushions and it had no storage. There was no garage area at the back because it had a rear lounge. So we drove around with the bed made up all the time and all our stuff in the motorhome. It was a nightmare. So to go to bed, we had to, or even just to live in it, we'd have to empty out the barbecue, the bikes and so on outside the motorhome every time we stopped. That didn't last long. In fact, it was about 8 or 9 months and we sold it and then bought something else. And then we went on actually and bought bunk bed motorhome. And so by this time we had 3 kids. And I thought the bunk beds are great. We can put the kids in the back, 2 of them in one of the bunks, and we would sleep in the overcab bed. So this is the bed, like a Luton van bed, so above the driver. I hated it. Every time I went to bed, I woke everyone up because the van would rock around. I'd be up early as well. Again, woke everyone up because the van would rock around. And I didn't like being in the overcab bed. I just don't like it. So that didn't even last as long as the last one.
It is a bit claustrophobic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can be if you don't like enclosed spaces.
I don't.
I mean, you found that out with the prison cell, didn't you?
Well, what they call it, solo and confined. What they call it when you're on your own?
What, just generally or in the prison?
In prison.
Solitary confinement.
That's the one, yeah. I'll tell you, I was at an MRI scanner the other day. Blimey, that was horrible. I hate the MRI scanner. It's the most expensive tube you'll ever get in. Honestly, horrible. Anyway.
If you don't know, Matt had some heart trouble. And we nearly lost him. We really nearly did. And we really nearly did. And so he's been having treatments and they put me in the MRI. It was the cheap one at Bristol, wasn't it? Yeah, the one where they got the person pedalling next door.
It's £1.5 million, he said. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Anyway, I nearly smashed the heck out of it trying to get out. But anyway, I didn't. But not a nice experience. So yeah, claustrophobia is not good if you don't like sleeping in an overcab bed, which I don't. So then we went and bought the best layout, which for us was a fixed rear bed with a big garage and a double overcab bed. Anyway, the point is, it took us a while and some money to find the best layout for us. And it can be a very expensive mistake. And I hear people say, this is our forever motorhome. I never believe them. I just laugh. So really? Because your needs change. You know, kids get older, or you start doing different types of holidays. So there's lots of considerations with a layout. And my advice is try before you buy. Go and hire a few different layouts for a weekend and invest a few £1,000 if you have to, because that could work out to be a lot cheaper than buying the wrong one and then having to trade in and buy another one. And really do your research, look at loads of layouts, go to shows and go in as many motorhome layouts as you possibly can, and really start to try and figure out what works best for you.
Absolutely. It's one of those occasions where your head really has to overtake your heart. You're excited, you've got the money, you finally got the finance, you want to buy it, but as Matt says, get that layout which is going to work for you now. You might have to change it in the future as perhaps the kids get older, or maybe you have a change in your health or physical ability or whatever, but get it right now and it will be cheaper for you in the long term.
Yeah, and I hate the phrase, I've said it before, but you don't know what you don't know. So until you actually go and use that particular layout, you don't know if it's going to work for you. So we thought the bunks and the overcab bed was ideal, and it really wasn't. I didn't like it at all. If we'd hired one, we'd have known straight away after a weekend that was the wrong layout for us.
Yeah, come to the big show in October, because you get some great ideas by going around some of the motorhomes. And we've said it in the past, design has caught up with the motorhoming and caravanning, hasn't it? It's not just a few cupboards and a bit of laminate, is it, anymore? There really is some serious design and designers, and some of the things that they come up with that you just would never have thought of.
A lot of innovation, some very clever bathroom designs. Yeah, there's loads of choice out there, which it's kind of makes the problem even bigger. So go to an indoor show like the ones at the NEC, go to one of the Warner shows outdoors where there's lots of second-hand motorhomes for sale, and go around as many dealers as you can. You'll be left to your own devices, which isn't always good, but you won't be bothered, and you'll be free just to wander around and go and look at loads. So that's my advice, look at as many as you possibly can.
And come and see us when you're there as well. We'd love to say hello.
Yeah.
I'm a bit reticent about this one. This is mistake number 2 for newbies who are buying a motorhome or caravan. Matt's toilet story.
Is that what it says here?
Yeah.
So we were in an American RV. So an American motorhome has a different type of toilet system to a European or British-built motorhome. It has a big tank and it has a pull lever, the same as many waste tanks have. And you pull the lever and out comes your toilet waste down a pipe into the sewer. That's how an American RV works. It has a holding tank, not a cassette you take out and you do the walk of shame and drag it away and tip it away. So we're in this American RV in a campsite in the winter, and it is really muddy. So much so the RV had actually sunk up to its axles in the mud, and we couldn't move it. So we decided we were going to change campsite, and we couldn't. We thought we'll just stay here for a few more days. The weather's set to improve, and then we'll try and get out. Loads of people were stuck being towed. We were too big to be towed out by the little campsite's mini tractor. So we thought we'll stay here. But the problem was we had kids with us and the toilet was getting full. And I thought, right, what I'll do, I can't get the motorhome to the toilet, which is a problem with an RV. So I got a gorilla tub, one of those black kind of feed tubs that you give animals with their food in. Got one of those. I thought, I'll just drain a bit off. How hard can this be? So I pulled I fitted in the waste tube, fed it into the gorilla tub, pulled the lever, didn't account for the fact there's probably half a ton of weight in this tank because it's quite full.
What have you been eating?
And of course all the heavy stuff went to the bottom, you know what I'm saying, and I pulled the lever and the lever was forced open. It just went straight out into the gorilla tub, bounced back off the edge of the gorilla tub into me. The gorilla tub went over and it started pumping itself all over the campsite grass. I pushed the lever in as quickly as I possibly could, and I did have a bit of a battle. And where I thought I would just drain a bit of fluid off, just a few bucketfuls, I ended up draining that quite a bit and all over the campsite grass. So I did confess to the campsite what had happened and explained why I'd done it. And to be fair, they were very understanding, came over with loads of hay, a wheelbarrow and a shovel and gave it to me and made me clean it all up. Fair enough. We put loads of straw down. It's the best bit of grass in Cornwall.
The best tomatoes the year after they've ever had.
Yeah, absolutely.
But is that going to happen to newbies?
It could do. Why not? And I'd been motorhoming quite a while when I took this decision to open my toilet valve like that. So my advice is don't ever do that again. Don't try it for yourself. It went really wrong. It was a mess. So yeah, horrible.
But what if you are faced with something which is full up and you need to do something about it? And, and as you say, you were stuck at the time. If it's a bit of a catch-22, what do? Keep your legs crossed?
Use the campsite toilet, I suppose. The problem is we had kids with us that were using the loo in the RV, and it was pouring with rain. I mean, really, really raining. We didn't want to walk all the way across the campsite. It's a big site to the toilet block. So, yeah, that was our logic for doing it, but I won't be doing that again.
So don't mess with the poo then, Matt. But the real story on this one is make sure you read the instruction manual, isn't it? It's know your motorhome or caravan.
RTFM.
Yeah.
Don't explain what that means. It's understand how to use your motorhome correctly. Yeah, absolutely. Read the manual and do your research as well. There's now so much information on this podcast, across YouTube, across loads of blogs. The magazines and the shows are brilliant at putting content out there. There's loads of vloggers and bloggers. So you could spend hours, I know many of you do, watching and reviewing all this content. There is so much you can learn on the internet. And when we had this RV, the internet probably did exist, but it wasn't like it is now. I don't think YouTube existed. So, getting information was much harder. It was all about conversation. Go into a library. Remember those places?
Absolutely. You go to the reference library to look things up.
Yeah. So, but now it's easy to research. So do your research and learn how to use your motorhome properly. When you're getting the handover from the dealer, film it, get your phone out and record the handover. I'm sure the dealer wouldn't object. Many dealerships now are doing video handovers. In our hire business, all the handovers for our hire customers have been done on video post-COVID, and there's a user manual in the motorhome. So there's loads of content out there. Just go and research it and consume as much as you can.
So know your motorhome or caravan, read the manual. That is the lesson. And as you say, particularly with YouTube, and I did it. I had to dot and dab a wall with plasterboard a couple of weeks ago. Never done it in my life. Watched a couple of YouTube videos, did the job, didn't need the plasterer. Sorry, guys. Really, those tutorials.
For any plasterer listening, can I just apologise that Keith would consider the University of Plastering, according to YouTube, would be an adequate training ground for him to replaster his house. These people spent years learning that craft.
Yeah, they say.
Yeah.
Loads of money.
I hate people like you.
Newbie mistake number 3, not sticking to less is more, packing and travelling and stuff like that.
Yeah, just packing too much stuff. So we talk all the time, don't we, about payload and how much weight you can carry in a motorhome. It's a massive topic. It's a big challenge for many motorhome owners, but carrying too much stuff. When we sold that American RV that I dumped the toilet from, I emptied all its lockers. It was a big 8.5 ton vehicle. It was a big truck. And I found 4 house bricks in the bottom of a locker. And it's like, what the heck are these in here for? Why are we carrying house bricks? And we would use them to put the little disposable barbecues on the grass, so we didn't leave a little burnt patch on the grass of the campsite. And we had 4 of them in the van. I mean, we've been carrying them around for
Is it like boats? Is it just ballast then? Just lowering the centre of gravity?
I had been, yeah. I mean, the motorhome could take the weight. That wasn't an issue. I wasn't compromising anything. But the point is, I was carrying this stuff around without realising it. And it's easy just to throw stuff in a locker. It's like at home, isn't it? It just ends up at the back of the cupboard. And then one day in the spring, you're having a spring clean. You think, blimey, how long have I had this? And just be mindful of how much stuff you're carrying around. It's so easy to pack too much stuff. And, in a motorhome, you need to take different types of clothing in this country because our weather is so changeable. But empty it out after every trip. If you've got tinned food in there that's 14 years old, just take it out and throw it away.
Absolutely, and you don't have to take everything. There are shops nearby, and it's not really an extra expense. But we're British, and so we like to pack everything, don't we? The jar of Marmite. Yeah, the tea bags. Yeah. But these things are all available, and they add weight to your motorhome, when you want to get people in.
Yeah. Well, I always say, go shopping at your destination. Go and actually make a positive impact on the local economy you're visiting. The other consideration is how you load it. So loading it incorrectly. This is really important because your front axle has a maximum weight. Your rear axle in a motorhome has a maximum weight. So it's really easy to overload one of them, or putting heavy weights up high. That is a no-no, because if you're going around a roundabout, or worse still, you have an accident, that could cause real
lower your
injury.
Centre of gravity.
Yeah, put it down low. And if you're a caravanner, it's very tempting. We had a caravan with what's called a French bed. So it's a double bed in the back corner of the van, and the corner's usually cut off so you can get through to the bathroom. It was popular in the French market, hence it's called French bed. And we would load that bed up. And I know we would overload it. We put the awning under it, all the tables and chairs and chocks. everything went under the bed. Of course, it's all at the back of the van, and you don't want loads of weight at the back of any trailer or caravan. You want it across the axle and over the front tow hitch as well. And again, there's a limit there on how much weight you can put over the tow hitch. So be very mindful of how you are loading a motorhome.
And we're recording this in the middle of holiday season in the summer. I know you're not listening to it at that particular time. Just a little quick one. We record this at Matt's place in Weston-super-Mare, near Weston-super-Mare. And so it's on the holiday route. It's been carnage over the last weekend. The last week on the M5, M4 interchange and into Wales and all the rest of it. It really has just been awful. Drive carefully. But today on the way here, Matt, I was behind somebody and they had a trailer, a two-wheel trailer on the back of their car, but it could easily be a motorhome. Remember, if you're towing a trailer, you can't go in the overtaking lane on the motorway.
Lane 3.
Yeah, and this bloke, and it was a bloke because I looked when I passed him, was out in lane 3 most of the time. And another expert, and I'm sorry, I do consult with other experts, once told me when you're pulling those trailers, you must always check the speed rating of the tyres. He said because they're never rated above about 50 miles an hour. So if you want to go fast in them, then you need to change the tyre. You shouldn't be in the third lane anyway, but they will blow out. If you go at 70 on a speed rated tyre at 50, you are putting a lot more pressure on it.
Yeah, well, it gets hot.
Pardon the pun, and it gets hot, and it could quite easily blow out. Don't do it.
It overheats, expands, and goes pop. That's what happens. And the side walls give out, hence you get a blowout. So you definitely shouldn't be in lane 3 with a trailer. The other mistake here is not just over cramming stuff, but actually over planning as well. So it's part of this kind of overdoing the whole motorhome bit, where people focus too much on the motor and less on the home. And particularly in the hire business here, Motorhome Holiday Company, we see people come in and they book a week and they've got 6 or 7 campsites planned for the week. It's like, blimey, you're going to need a week off to recover from this holiday. It's going to be awful. So it's no fun doing that. I had this rule of 3, I've talked about it before, where we would camp on a site for 2 nights, and on day 3 we would travel for no more than 3 hours. Now, and I called it the rule of 3. So we would also have a rule where we would apply the rule of 3 if it's raining. So if on day 3 it's still tipping down, or looks like it's going to be, we'd pack up and go home, give in. But we would try and stay there for 3 days if we could. Particularly important, we've got kids and we're trying to keep them entertained. But the rule of 3, and 2 campsite nights, stay on the same site. Take your time, slow down, and just enjoy the area you're in a little bit longer. And don't drive too far. You don't need to drive for hours to enjoy your motorhome or caravan. You can drive down the road to the local campsite and still have a great weekend. So don't overplan.
There you go. So those are the top 3, could even be 4 there, or 5 mistakes that newbies make when they're motorhoming or caravan. That's according to expert Motorhome Matt Sims. Now, we want to hear your stories. What was your biggest mistake when you started this fabulous pastime?
Yeah, we'd love to know. Leave them in the comments or send them in to us at mhmp.info/ask Matt. You can record them there, or fill in the form and we'll read them out for you. Make us laugh if you can. We'd love to hear your newbie mistakes.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. It's time for our question and answers, where you ask the questions. And Matt Sims, Motorhome Matt, he will give you the answers. If he doesn't know himself, he'll ask another expert. So this is the font of all knowledge.
Okay, no pressure.
Robert Crookshanks is in the Outer Hebrides.
Hi Matt, my name is Robert Crookshanks and I have on order a Hymer MLT 570 Experience. I'm aware that when you buy a Hymer with the Mercedes chassis that you only get a 2-year warranty in the UK, as it is a German warranty and not the 3-year UK warranty. My question to you is, and it's just muddy waters, I'm hoping you can help. So my question is, are you covered by Mercedes Milovan from the date of registration, or is it from the first service, or are you covered at all? Nobody seems to be able to tell me, and I'm finding it very frustrating. Many thanks, and all the best.
Cheers, Robert. What did we say earlier? RTM, read the manual. Is it not in the manual then, Matt?
It might be. I don't know. It's a very good question, Robert. Thank you. What's interesting is Robert's surname is Quickshanks, and they're a massive Mercedes van dealer in Bristol. So I did contact them, Robert, on your behalf. I wondered if you owned the business, and this was a trick question. Maybe. But they haven't responded. So, there we are. You are right there, Robert, because it's an imported vehicle. So the Hymer is a German-built motorhome. This is exactly the same with Mercedes, with Fiat, with Peugeot, with Citroën. If it's a European-built motorhome, it only has a 2-year chassis warranty. If you're buying a British-built motorhome, so Bailey, Auto Trail, Auto Sleeper, they are UK-supplied chassis, still from Europe, but they come into the UK, and therefore they have a 3-year chassis warranty. Many people get confused by this. So you are right, and the warranty starts at the date of registration. Now, quick note on Fords, same applies to Ford, it's a 2-year warranty, but when you have the vehicle serviced for the first time, you need to get Ford to extend the warranty for the 2nd year. Now, also to note as well, with the Stellantis group vehicles, so Fiat, Peugeot, Citroën, you can buy a 5-year warranty for the chassis from the start date, the registration date, but you only get, I think it's 10 days from the date of registration to do it. It comes at a cost around £1,000. That might be different now, but if you don't do it in the first 10 days of registration, you lose the ability to buy that 5-year warranty extension or 5-year warranty. So hopefully that clarifies it for you. It's from the date of registration.
Why do these companies make it so complicated, mate? I mean, you've got to ask yourself that question, haven't you?
I know.
Here's Mercedes, it's a premium quality brand. Why do they make it so difficult?
It's not just Mercedes, it's all of them. I don't know why there's a difference. Why is there a disparity between a European-provided vehicle that has a 2-year warranty, the same vehicle built by a British manufacturer has a 3-year warranty?
Is it Brexit?
No, it's been the case for donkey's years.
Has it?
Yeah, pre-Brexit. I don't know why. Maybe the British manufacturers negotiated with Stellantis and others that they can have a 3-year warranty. I mean, obviously they did. But why should it only be 2 years on a European-built motorhome? I don't know. So if you buy an Adria, for example, it's a 2-year chassis warranty.
Cheers, Robert. Thanks for the question. Maureen and Bill Lohman are in Auckland in New Zealand. My second reach out to you, they say. We tune into YouTube on Monday Down Under and watch while we have our morning coffee. Loved the camaraderie between you and Keith.
Hey.
Camaraderie, had it once, didn't like it. So much fun. So much fun while learning. Our question is, as temperatures drop, do you have a polar windscreen cover manufacturer that you would recommend, particularly one who would export? We're into our first winter with our Death Lev's A-Class Pulse, and while being warm and cosy most of the time, we'd like to keep it that way and keep condensation to a minimum. How can you help? Thanks and regards to you both.
Brilliant. Well, I can help. Yeah, I did some research for you on this, and I can recommend to you rainbowscreens.co.uk. I gave them a call. They're super helpful, and they will ship to New Zealand. But the chap there did say that costs had shot up for doing this in recent years. It used to be 197 quid, but it was £300. So it's not going to be a cheap way of getting a cover, but you can get one, and you can choose A-Class on their website. I went and checked this for you as well, and it's easy to navigate through. And the Death Left Magic is the one they list, and that's probably the one that's closest to your pulse.
Thanks very much for the question. Pete's in Accrington. Hi, Matt. I've got a couple of questions. A couple, Pete, if you don't mind. Firstly, naming no names, but a dealer I spoke to recently told me that as motorhomes are classed as commercial vehicles, they will not be affected by the 2030 EV/hybrid legislations. This seems to contradict what I've heard you say about 2030. Please, could you clear this up?
Easy. Yeah, well, they are affected. It's all diesel vehicles.
They're the blokes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, well, I'm going to double check this. So I rang Paul Kirby, the electric van man, who's featured on the podcast before. He said the 2030 ZEV mandate was extended to 2035 and covers cars and vans and thus motorhomes, because of course they're built on a van. Labour have stated they will reset the ZEV mandate date to 2030, so bringing it forward again, despite this not being included in the King's speech. It will state that 70% of new vehicle production must be zero emissions by 2030, or the manufacturer will suffer an £18,000 fine per van they build and £15,000 fine per car. So this is going to happen, and if Labour are true to their word, let's see, it will be back to 2030 where manufacturers have to produce 70% of all new vehicles have to be zero emission.
It's amazing, isn't it? And you know where that 18,000, 15,000 is going to end up in your pocket. Second question from Pete. Would it be reasonable to expect a dealer to provide me with a weigh ticket for a newly purchased motorhome? That's weigh as in weight, not waiting in a queue, how heavy you are.
We're not queuing for cheese at
Yeah, the English language, eh? Would it be reasonable to expect a dealer to provide me with a weigh ticket for a newly purchased motorhome, or would the dealer expect me to pay a charge for this as an extra? Loving the podcast. Thanks in advance, says Pete in Accrington.
Yeah, I reckon the dealer would probably expect you to organise it and pay for it. Now, it might be the dealer has to take it to the weighbridge. This will be about cajoling your dealer to help you with this, but it's a very, very sensible thing to do. They might drive it there on trade plates, because if it's not registered yet, it won't be taxed. And honestly, it's going to cost £5. It's going to cost buttons. The two local places that we take motorhomes here, if we don't want a receipt, they don't charge us at all. And if we do, it's £5 cash. So it's not going to be expensive at all.
Is it worth getting into a fight about?
No, definitely not. It's definitely worth doing, though.
Nice little review here from Eddie and Alison. Hi, Matt. Thanks for the advice, by the way. Just to let you know, we had the best holiday ever. The tow car made it to France, Germany, Switzerland, Portofino in Italy, and back up to Mont Blanc. The weather changed, so we did the south of France and made our way to Belgium to pick up 2 dog passports, le passeport de chien.
Very good.
Could not tell you the roads we went down. You wouldn't believe me. Simply the best time. Thanks again. Don't think I would have gone without talking to you and Keith. Kind regards, Eddie, Alison, Tilly the Frenchie, and Bobby the Scotty.
Thanks for the invite. That's brilliant. What a great trip, and thank you for sharing. It's lovely to know we gave you some confidence to do it, and you towed a car as well all the way around. That's really interesting without getting stopped, so well done.
Send your reviews to mhmp.info/review. That's reviews to mhmp.info/review. Just a quick repeat. We mentioned this earlier, but can you vote for us in the British Podcast Awards, for the Listener Choice Awards? We would love to win it, you know. That's mhmp.info/vote. mhmp.info/vote. Now, Matt,
yes.
People want to ask you a question. What do they do?
Easy, please do, because if you've got a question, I guarantee there's 1,000 people with the same question, possibly too afraid to ask it. Head to mhmp.info/ask Matt. Just click the orange button and record it, and we'll play it into the podcast, or you can fill in the form and we'll read it for you.
I'm a newbie who's feeling YouTubey. What should I do?
Hit subscribe, please hit subscribe and the little bell, and then the gods of YouTube will tell you when we bring out a new episode. And our YouTube channel is sponsored by arabasecreative.co.uk.